And it was like, hey, if you want to be happy, you want to be successful, you want everything in your life, you want to prioritize yourself, you need to pick. Do you want to be angry for the entire duration of 2025, or do you want to be happy and successful in moving your highest alignment and getting your spark back and finally detangling your hair after months of depression? Like, what do you want to do? And when I looked at it that way, I was like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely positively right. I hope you guys have an amazing, gorgeous, abundant day, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about if I am still a spiritual girly. Now, if you want to know what my current spiritual practice is and learn some tips and tricks about how, you know, this practice is for me now, if I'm still doing it, I highly recommend you stay tuned. So make sure you give this a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications so you won't miss anything from me. Let's dive into it. So yeah, that is the question that I have been asking myself for about a year now, and especially when I was trying to go back to my spiritual practices, and the question that I came to, or the answer that I came to for that question is yes. And let me tell you exactly why. Because my spiritual practice has changed. It went from it being my entire life and my identity to it being something that is a part of me rather than me. And I feel like for that is a very great and healthy relationship with the practice. I realized that when I was practicing it, I was kind of borderline religious. Yeah, and not even borderline religious, more so like borderline religion, you know, like how people make religion their identity. I made spirituality my identity. And through it all, it wasn't like I was being very rigid or anal about it, because I definitely was going back and forth between, can I express myself or should I be spiritual? But now I'm in a place where I'm like, not only am I spiritual, I am all these other things, and that is okay to combine with it. And so this is how I kind of came to that conclusion. And so when I was learning about myself in October and I was trying to figure out, okay, exactly what the issue was, everything started to make sense. So one of the main issues that I had with myself in the practice was the fact that I saw it as some type of God, right? My intentional reason for practicing spirituality was to have freedom, was to know that everything that I am doing to live in my highest alignment, I am making that decision. No one outside of me is doing that. No higher power is doing that. No elder is doing that. I am doing that. And I think when I found spirituality at first, it encompassed that, right? But then I learned about my ancestors and I kind of went the wrong direction. And then I also started listening to people who are very subservient and people who kind of are makeassists, or not makeassists, but people who really love authority. And I'm not a person who likes authority, right? I don't have any more of an issue with authority because now I know how to work with authority instead of, right? But I did not like authority, but I was still tapping into subservient qualities, especially when it came to my ancestors. Like whatever they said, I did, even when I did not want it to do it, even when I hated it. Oh my God, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. One of the factors was like reconciling with my mom or my family. I was like, y'all, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea. Right? I was open to it, but I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea. It turned out to not be a good idea, but good in a way that that cycle is closed off. They were very heavily on family connections and not leaving them behind, and it was destroying me. And I was wondering, why the fuck was my ancestors telling me to do something that was destroying me? And I came to the conclusion that they want to do things on their own terms, right? But if they're supposed to help me live my highest alignment, not what they think, but my highest alignment, why aren't they doing it? And one of the things I found out was that I didn't set firm boundaries. I didn't set firm and consistent boundaries, and I didn't really communicate exactly my needs and what I wanted when it came to my spiritual practice and when it came to my life in general. And so I think it was the end of December of last year where I discussed and talked with my ancestors as a whole. And I was like, okay, we need to figure some things out, because the way life has been going, when I was connecting with you guys and asking you guys for help was not key, right? It wasn't it. Before that though, like I took a step back in the sense I didn't really ask them for a lot of things, except for certain things I know that they could have gave me. So that's why I'm not like blaming them entirely or saying it's their entire fault, because it's not, absolutely not. I put it right. So I was like, okay, we need to figure out some boundaries. We need to, you know, I need to let you know exactly what you need to do to help me and not what you think I need, because I do not care. But I said that in a respectful way. And so you guys know I have 4 ancestors on my roster. 2 of them went away because they didn't really agree with what I wanted. And it's no hard feelings, right? There's no issue. Just don't ask me for nothing. Like, don't come up here. But no, they went away and they're chilling and they're doing anything. And then 2 of them stayed, but they had conditions and I met those conditions that they had, right? It was cool. I had to take some time though, because if you watched my other videos, you know exactly what the conditions were. And I was like, okay, cool, fine, I can do that. They gave me a couple of days and I worked through it, because it wasn't the fact that I was resistant to it, because logically I knew that was the best course of action, right? Emotionally, I was still angry and I was still working over everything that was happening. And so they said, okay, you got like 3 days, right? And after those 3 days, you need to let us know. I'm just remembering all the feelings that I had at the time, like 3 fucking days, are you kidding? But those were like, I'm glad they gave me that ultimatum, because it helped me move on. Like, what it really did for me is help me tap into my willpower. And it was like, hey, if you want to be happy, you want to be successful, you want everything in your life, you want to prioritize yourself, you need to pick. Do you want to be angry for the entire duration of 2025, or do you want to be happy and successful in moving your highest alignment and getting your spark back and finally detangling your hair after months of depression? Like, what do you want to do? And when I looked at it that way, I was like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely positively right. So met the conditions. They wanted some other conditions, but I was like, no, you already got my anger, that's enough. So after that, we kind of connected. Now we're doing good. I'm going to the altar. I do have to clean their altar today because it's been there for a minute. But yeah, I'm going back to that and it's been really, really great. I have been boosting with my spiritual powers. Like, my readings, every single one of them has been hitting lately. Everyone who books it, they're like, oh my God, this resonates. Every single aspect resonates. And I know it does, because the way that I'm reading now, as opposed to what I used to read, I still was always accurate, super accurate, but it was always from a place of anxiety and fear. Like, I was always rushing through the reading, but now I'm very slow, I'm very intentional, and that way the messages can kind of sink and anchor more, and it has energy infused in it. I'm not rushing to get this person their reading or to give them like so much information within that small time frame. I'm just going slow. I'm really tapping into my feminine energy, and it worked wonders. So many people have been booking with me because they feel it, they know everything's fine, and like the results have been shown for themselves. So in addition to that, I have been receiving a lot of manifestations and, just really tapping into my power, whatever that looks like for me. And I think me doing that has redefined what my spiritual practice looks like and why it looks that way. One of the key factors was making sure that my inner power is my own to wield, and that I'm not giving it over to my ancestors, to the universe, to somebody higher than me. It is mine to wield. And I think that was one of the major keys I needed to learn to have a healthier relationship with spirituality, because even when I was practicing it, I would have certain things like, why is this a limiting belief if this was the case, right? Like manifestation, the law of attraction manifestation. I was like, why do I have to be happy all the time in order to receive my desires? Why can't I feel my emotions and match the frequency? And when I learned about law of assumption, I was like, yes, this is so much better. Like, I can feel all of my emotions. However, it didn't stop me from being in a grounded sense or a grounded state all the time, because that's a different story, right? Like, I want to be happy all the time. I want to be successful all the time. I want to be at peace all the time. I don't want my emotions to fluctuate all the time. And I'm a Cancer rising, so I'm very prone to that. So once I separated a lot of my identity from spirituality and separated my identity from manifestation as a whole, life really started to unfold for me instead of against me. I've been manifesting like crazy. My life has been good. Like, guys, don't make spirituality your entire identity, especially if you're a person who came out of your religious practice. It can be very easy to replace it, right? And at first, that wasn't the case for me. Like, I did not make it my identity, but I definitely was obsessed with healing. Like, I was obsessed with moving in my hands. I was just obsessed with it, to the point where I kept chasing it. But now I'm in a state where I know it's in me and not something I'm running towards and not something that I'm attracting, which at the time I didn't know, right? But the 3 years after the 2 years I was really immersed in my spiritual practice, I forgot a lot of lessons, a lot of them. And so this is just a reminder. Another thing that I'm doing is kind of going back to witchcraft. I kind of steered away from it because I found hoodoo and, you know, I found other African traditional religions, and I like them, and I still practice some, like hoodoo specifically. I still practice that, but it's restricting. I don't like restrictions. I knew it, so I went back to witchcraft, or I was still practicing witchcraft. I just really never called myself that again, because another thing was that I was worried about how other people would perceive me, because, you know, people have biases against witches. But I was like, I created a community that like witches, so why am I scared? Why am I worried about other people and their validation, right? So I was able to go back, and I started to do more spells and rituals and say more affirmations, and that, especially that were positive, and just speaking goodness over my life, because I have those powers. My bloodline is of that, even though they don't know, but our bloodline is of that. And great feeling. I have to keep going back to the altar because I keep forgetting. I need to study. But yeah, I went back to that. So now I am kind of an eclectic witch, which is like dabbling in a lot of things, but personally I don't take from other people's cultures, because again, most of the wisdom and the insight and the spells that I have, they come from her. She gives them to me. When y'all be asking for spells and y'all be asking for books and references and articles, I'm like, she's the article. Y'all gotta talk to her. Like, that's, like, you see what I'm saying? But if you guys want to know like more spells and rituals, you can go to my Patreon. I always post it on there. I have a lot of them up right now, so you can go there and maybe we can study together, but maybe we'll see what's up. But yeah, that's another thing that I'm doing with my spiritual practice, just kind of combining the two. And really, I'm just not allowing it to take over my life. I'm still allowing myself to have fun, to enjoy life, to really figure out who I am, but in a more healthy, moving or momentumous way. Because beforehand I was definitely like encasing myself and very stagnant within it, and I realized that it's something that flows, it's something that changes and transforms, and it doesn't have to be something I overthink. It could just be like, that is the perfect definition of my spiritual practice: existence. That's all I'm doing, existing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope it kind of brought perspective to what you should do with your spiritual practice, making sure you don't identify with it and just allowing yourself to exist within it, because you're going to naturally be led down the path you're supposed to be. Your intuition will soar, it will brighten, and it will flourish, because you're starting to listen to yourself again. Spirituality is not something that is logical. It is out of this world. It is very, you know, abstract. And I think that is the beauty in it, that it doesn't have to be so physical and something to overthink and something you have to fight for and very desperate. No, you should be able to feel free and exist freely. And that's what it gave me. And I'm glad that I went back to that freedom, instead of, you know, taking religious like components and trying to combine it to spirituality. Because one thing, and I really want to say this, but one thing that really got me when I started to practice more hoodoo and African traditional things is the fear mongering. My God, every other TikTok is, you better not do this. Y'all always telling beginners to do this. And I'm like, I don't want that energy. I really don't want that energy. Like, I know it's because we're conditioned to want to protect and conditioned to be in survival mode and protection and conditioned to be very arrogant when it comes to knowing knowledge, right? But no, I could not tap into that anymore. That's why I kind of strayed away from the community of hoodoo and community of ATR. But I know, like, you know, at its core, it's something beautiful, it's something gorgeous. It's just the people in it are expressing it the wrong way. So let me know if you feel that way too. If you are a Black person and you're like trying to get into ATR, but people are kind of putting you off of it because they do too much, let me know, because I'm right here with you, okay? But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for supporting me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, my angel fairies. Mwah.